Well, after Jared was voted out, the old Samatau Alliance was very, very upset, and they were looking for who the turncoat was. We know that it was Michelle and Lockie. They figured out it was Michelle. They don't know who the other person was. They all suspect Lockie, though. And Lockie just would not admit it. He just absolutely would not admit it. And it was very frustrating for them, but I just found it totally hilarious to see, like, deceptive Lockie, evil Lockie. We haven't really seen that side of Lockie. He's always been kind of like the nice guy, the friendly guy. I mean, AK kind of mocked whenever Lockie tried to manipulate because he could just see straight through it. And could these guys see through it? I don't know. But Annalise does not buy it. She is on the warpath. She is going after Lockie with hellfire missiles. She is so determined to get him out, and her plan to do this is to keep together her alliance of Ziggy, Tess and Pete, but also to bring over Michelle, who only recently flipped back to Asaga. So, and I do kind of feel like Michelle could go either way. Like, if you give her enough good reasons, she might come back. And Annalise also wants to sort of reactivate the bond that she has with Sarah, because you remember the two of them, they sort of shared information about Annalise's idol, so there is a connection there. And if she did succeed in bringing the two of them over, that would give them the numbers of 6 versus 5, but you would need a lot of social capital in order to bring over these people, and based off how badly they misread the situation at the last tribal, I don't think they can. Henry, of course, is on cloud 9. He's very happy with how the vote went, because the person he wanted to go home did indeed go home. But he's got to tie up a loose end with Jericho. We all remember that he passed Jericho a clue to an idol that he had already found, which resulted in Jericho running around all over the jungle looking for an idol that wasn't there anymore. So now that they're back on the Asaga beach as a merged tribe, he has to go through this whole pretext of like pretending to look for the idol and then just like, oh, here it is, I found it. And Jericho seems to buy it. But man, that was funny to watch. And then Jericho after it is like, man, he just lucky, he's the golden kid. He puts out his hand, he gets gold. I put out my hand and I get dirt. It's like, wow. It's like Jericho's actually got quite a lot of animosity towards Henry. A couple episodes ago, like when Henry actually gave him the clue, he said, oh, Henry's probably giving me the clue because he's hoping that it will form some kind of bond or loyalty between us. He said, I don't feel any bond towards Henry at all. So he's actually kind of cold towards Henry. It's better keep your eye on Jericho. Henry, he's a little bit aggressive towards you. He might not show it on the surface, but it's there. But whatever bad taste might be in Jericho's mouth is washed out very quickly with Jamgate. I love this. Jericho, Luke, and Henry just scoffing all the jam, all the leftover jam from the scones that were left over last episode when they all got the letters from home. And I'm actually surprised nobody heard them because they're making so much noise, sort of giggling like schoolgirls with their hands literally in the cookie jars. It was pretty funny to watch. And it was even more funny the next morning when everyone's like, who did this? And Luke is just like, it was great. I love it. But this just sort of gives more fuel to the fire of Annalise, who of course blames Lockie for this. So she goes off and tries to do her bit to win over Sarah as her plan says, while Pete goes to Ziggy, who is still part of their alliance, and tells her about the plan to take out Lockie. But of course they don't know that Ziggy has the super idol that can cancel out someone else's idol, and since their entire strategy, since they don't have the numbers, is going to be backed up by using Annalise's idol, Ziggy, in knowing there's an idol, she now has a target to use her super idol on. And much more importantly than that, there's a difference between Ziggy and Annalise. Like, here's the problem with Annalise, because you remember that Annalise, she was voted out before. Like, her and Tara were supposed to be voted out, but then they did the thing where instead of getting voted out, they get switched over to the other tribal. Well, if you actually remember why Annalise's name was put out there, the reason her name was put out there back then was she had a chance to jump from her dying alliance over to the AK alliance, which at the time had the power in the tribe, but she chose not to do it. So that's why when they all started voting for her in the second round of voting, they all started calling out,
I'm sorry, Annalise, but I am voting you.
I'm sorry, Annalise. I wish you'd worked with us tonight.
She should have learned from that she needs to be able to acknowledge when to jump ship from an alliance and when not to. Because not only did she go through the experience of basically being voted out, she knows why she was voted out. They literally called it out to her. She should have learned from that. If you're in an alliance that's dying and you get an option to jump over to a stronger alliance, you should take it. Now she's in the exact same situation again. Last episode, she had a chance to jump across to the Asaga 4 Killers Alliance, but she made the exact same mistake she made last time she got voted out. She once again did not take the option to jump over to a strong alliance when she could, but I just find it interesting that the same mistake is the reason she got voted out this time. Like, it really didn't have anything to do with the super idol. Well, I mean, it did have something to do with the super idol cancelling her idol, but even if that had not happened and she was able to play her idol, she still would have got voted out later on. She still would have been in the minority because she's like one step behind everyone else when it comes to seeing which direction the power is flowing from one alliance to another. Ziggy, on the other hand, is very good at doing that. She's one step ahead of the curve. She can acknowledge now that the Se02 alliance that she's with is a dying alliance. She even calls it a dying alliance. So she chooses to use her super idol to cancel Annalise's idol to buy herself cred and trust with the Asaga alliance. And that's the fundamental difference between Annalise and Ziggy. The ability to know when to jump ship. And of course, Ziggy has an extra reason not to go along with the vote. She's very good in challenges. Lockie is very good in challenges. If they vote out Lockie because he's good in challenges, they're going to go for the next best person at challenges, which is probably her. She wants to keep him as a meat shield, which is a very good strategy, a very good idea. So Ziggy's got a lot of good reasons to jump ship, to betray this dying alliance. So then at the immunity challenge, 2 of the 3 people who had their bellies fueled from eating all that jam make it all the way to the end, make it all the way to the final stage of the challenge, and Henry wins immunity. Good job, Henry. And with any possibility of voting for Henry taken off the table, everyone kind of now knows it's either Lockie or Annalise. One of them is going home, leading to a very weird conversation in which Lockie is trying to convince Annalise to give him her idol. Yeah, there's no way she's going to give you her idol. I mean, it's worth a try, but it's just never going to happen because she knows you're coming after her. Like Tessa and Pete, you told Tessa and Pete you're coming after her. You must have known they were going to tell her that you're coming after her. So why would she give you her idol? It doesn't make any... I don't know. Maybe AK was right about Lockie being terrible at scheming. So we have another session of Luke saying, I'm the king. She came after the king. You're going to get taken out because you tried to take out the king on his own beach. All right, look. Now, I said a couple times before that Luke likes to call himself out as the king. He has yet to back that up. Now, I'm sorry to keep crapping on Luke all the time, okay? But if he's going to keep calling himself the king, we need to actually see whether he measures up to it. I pointed out many times before, like long before the merge, long before even the tribe swap, in which Henry and Ben went over to the other tribe, he tried a number of times to like overthrow Henry and his alliance, and it failed a number of times. It wasn't until Henry left that Luke's plan started to work. And we always said that after the merge, that's when Luke's really going to have to actually prove if he is the king and see whether he actually is running stuff. And everybody voted for him last week. And how was he saved? Did Luke do any scheming or any scrambling or any strategy to actually save himself in that situation? There was actually nothing shown of him in that episode, so he couldn't have really done that much. It was simply through them winning the numbers that he didn't go home, which is just luck on his part, because the people who were doing the legwork for that was Jericho, was Sarah, was Henry, was Tara. It was all of them connecting with all the other people and pulling them over. So yeah, you survived that vote, Luke, but not because of any actions of yourself. So I still don't see how you're the king. And the fact that they actually wanted to vote Henry rather than you, but they were worried he might have an immunity idol, so they went for you because they're pretty sure you didn't, it shows they don't consider you the top threat. They consider Henry much more of a threat than you. And once again, here we are at Tribal. They're not trying to vote for you, they're trying to vote for Lockie now. Obviously they don't view you as much of a threat. So sorry, Luke, still waiting for you to bring out those king powers. Let us know when you finally decide to start doing that. But anyway, back to the Tribal. I saw on Twitter a lot of people were like, what a terrible way for Ziggy to use a super idol. I don't get what people are talking about, why they say that. I mean, what do you mean a stupid way to use your super idol? That's exactly how you're supposed to use that super idol. You use it to cancel out someone else's idol. She had an idol that she wanted cancelled out, so she played it to cancel it out. Her reasons for doing it is she wanted to jump ship from a dying alliance, and she wanted to keep Lockie around as a meat shield. What's not to understand? I don't get it. I just don't get it. Maybe I'm too defensive of this Since this was kind of my idea, this whole Dark Idol thing, you can click here to see how I sort of pitched them that idea during my Survivor interview, because I tried to get on this season. But I don't get why everyone's like, oh, terrible way to use her idol. Is it because they wanted her to cancel out Henry's idol to get rid of him? Is that what they wanted? I mean, I don't know. Seems to me like she played it exactly like you're supposed to play it. And normally when there's a new element in the game introduced like that, there is an element of unfairness because nobody else knows what this new element is, so they can't like protect against it. But since this resulted in Annalise getting voted out, who technically has already been voted out once before, it's really not a big travesty of justice. So I think it's a good way to introduce a new element to the game, and it didn't take out like someone who should have been in the game, who deserved to be in the game. So I'm pretty happy with it. So the strategic lesson of this episode is know when to abandon a dying alliance for a stronger alliance. The power is constantly shifting in Survivor. Loyalty is very touching, but in Survivor that's a very fluid concept. And it's better to be one step ahead of the curve like Ziggy than one step behind it like Annalise and end up getting voted out twice in one season. So thanks for watching, guys. Follow me on Twitter if you want to keep up with my tweets during the show as they happen. And of course, share these videos with your friends if they're into Survivor as well, because it does help the channel grow, and the channel is growing, slowly but surely, and I very much appreciate that. And until next time, I will see you guys in the comments.